turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments, and I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go, and that we are involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our...
Yes, y'all. We are back, y'all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just so much has happened in the past week from our very first appearance here on Black Ink Radio. Shout out to them. My boy Rich for making this thing happen. But, you know, you're tuned in to Sis What's Good, y'all.
Sis, what's good?
And just to let y'all know, we have, yes. We have a very special show today that's geared towards the importance of Black families today and what we need today in the Black community, you know. And what a better way than to wrap up, you know, Black History Month than to talk about this sensitive subject.
Absolutely.
You know, so we're going to dive in.
Yeah, it's not one of our typical episodes. We're not hitting into the hot topics of the week or anything. We're diving in. We're going to pay homage to our people. We're going to educate.
Yes.
Definitely going to educate.
Remember that word.
Educate. Mm-hmm. You know, that's one of the big reasons of the show. Yeah, huge for the night is to educate on the past, present, and the future of our Black people. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you know, and just so y'all know, we got our other guest that's here, y'all. He's behind the scenes though, but my boy Gary, you know. Yes. Well, whatever, you know, like y'all hear his, I know y'all been wanting to know, like y'all been hearing his voice, so y'all don't know what it, but I'm telling y'all, my boy got the wisdom. He the one that makes this thing work. So yeah, he's gonna be tuning in with us too and giving us his thoughts too.
You guys can call me Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown's in the background.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
He gives me all the shine, and he just be in the back. But
hey,
you know,
real man.
You know, he know who's married to.
Yes. So
go ahead.
Let's do it. Okay, so I want to start off really like, so when we're talking about the importance of Black families, that you can't talk about it. Well, you can't talk about the solution until we can learn from the past. And going back to,
I got a whole era.
Yeah, like matter of fact, the Reconstruction era you was talking about.
I want to level set and start with an era that is, to me, consciously glossed over a lot. And I think to T-Time's point and Andrea's point, it adds a lot of pride for the Black collective, right? So I want to share some facts from this era. This is actually the post-slavery, Reconstruction, World War II era that predates the Civil Rights Movement. So kind of walk with me a bit as I take you through this journey of a time when Black success and Black Renaissance was actually a thing. So Black Reconstruction and pre-Civil Rights era is seldom acknowledged formally. We got that. The family structure then was more conventional. It was more of the patriarch, the man led the household. We're going to talk a little bit about the importance of family structure as it pertains to the issues that we deal with today. And believe it or not, it doesn't always have to be led by a man, right? But back then, I think that generation understood the importance of sacrifice. Segregation didn't insult them. Segregation did not insult them, nor did they perceive white acceptance as something to strive for. Right? So
girl, you might have to say it again, bro.
Again.
So our listeners
segregation did not insult this generation of Black people, nor did they perceive white acceptance as something to strive for. This predates Martin Luther King, the sit-ins, and the Civil Rights Movement. Right? According to Dr. Claude Anderson, he references how segregation worked in Black people's favor, citing how white folks would frequent the Black side of town because they had better restaurants and jazz clubs. That's just one kind of anecdotal example. But a more formal, factual-based example is the National Negro Business League, the NNBL, was founded by Booker T. Washington in 1900. It was
Shout
the
out to
largest
Tuskegee.
association of black businessmen in the nation. That group enhanced economic prosperity in the African American community. Then you had Universal Negro Improvement Association, which was founded by Marcus Garvey. Me and DaCosta are both Jamaican, so we take pride in Marcus Garvey, right? Marcus Garvey's group also lobbied for black community investment, raising millions of dollars that supported black programs and development of black business projects. Okay, so the needs and the establishment for black business increased due to segregation and white folks' disregard for blacks as customers. T-Time, you're going to unpack this later in the show.
Yeah.
But black churches offered support and protection to black businesses, while the NAACP provided legal assistance. Most businesses, although small in scale, were local and family-run due to barriers for finding loans and property for rent. So Jim Crow legislation basically restricted access to white financial services, resulting in blacks having to seek alternative options for financing and credit. So basically, blacks had to seek black financial institutions. This resulted, right, in black banks serving as a source of credit for black businesses and consumers. They provided training and opportunities in the form of jobs for us, while economic development and business in our communities prospered. Okay? There were still external barriers that existed, no doubt. This is the Jim Crow era. T-Time, you're going to unpack this later in the show as well. But there was housing discrimination in the form of redlining that prohibited progress. But despite these conditions, black businesses still flourished. There was a sense of solidarity and pride among members of the black community. So part of our discussion today, and a question to our audience, is did that generation make things too easy on their children? Their children being the civil rights era, the boomers. Civil rights was their goal. Unlike the black entrepreneurship and the strong black communities that predated them, there was less of a collective emphasis on economic empowerment and wealth generation, and more of an emphasis placed on consumption, material gain, and the participation with the dominant culture. They had an attitude that reeked of wanting to prove themselves to white people and be accepted by white people. In my opinion, this was a weaker generation.
I still think that is happening now.
I think there were outliers then in the form of Malcolm X, the Nation of Islam. I think Stokely Carmichael was one. But the overarching view of blacks during the civil rights movement was that of a spirit that wanted to be acknowledged by whites. They wanted a seat at the table. Now, when we look at today's discussion, I think, and to be fair to Martin Luther King, he changed his perspective before he transitioned, before he was assassinated. But the dominant culture recognizes MLK as the overarching, right, symbol of black progress in the civil rights movement. But I think that's unfair. When you look at the Reconstruction era, post-slavery, arguably one of the most traumatic events that placed the black community endured, the World War II era, the Black Wall Street era, there was undoubtedly universal success for decades in the black community. So before I turn it over to both of you, we got all kinds of issues facing us today.
We do.
Post-integration, we've been the proverbial bottom feeders in almost every statistical category that matters. Home ownership, the wealth gap, owning our own businesses, the strength of our community or lack thereof. This literally goes back to the 70s. So from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s, we are last as a collective. Of course, there's a DaCosta. Of course, there's a T-Time. You know? Of course, there's these one-offs of black success. But I posted an article last week on our page that claimed that Asians and Hispanics have leaped over blacks. I think the percentage was 50% in home ownership.
And that's a lot.
That's huge.
That's a lot. And
so tonight we're gonna run that down.
Yeah, and let's piggyback off of that right now. And I just want to say, like, I've seen, just being Caribbean, having a Caribbean background, being Jamaican, and my grandmother coming to the United States with just $10 and bringing her whole family over here. Mind you, she had 10 kids. She had brothers and sisters that she all brought over here, including their kids. And seeing her work to get them over here, and everybody staying in one household. Now, and actually working until she provided a steady house for them to come into every night, food, dinner, encourage them to go out and work, get your, take care of your families. When you get your family, when you're finally established, okay, I'm gonna send you out there to the world. And seeing different cultures growing up, they do that same thing. Mm-hmm. I live, when I was a single black female, I had a 1-bedroom apartment in Buckhead. Next door to me was an Indian family. It was about 10 people in a 1-bedroom. Indians, they all stay in the same house until they get married. Mexicans, you see them staying in there. They really help their own. Mm-hmm. They stay in one house. They would give them different job opportunities. You see them outside of Home Depot. I would do this and actually work, because they don't have that lazy mentality that us black people have now. They actually want to get out and work. They want to get out ahead. They want to get ahead.
Let's be clear, though. I don't want to say us blacks now. I want to focus on the boomer generation, the civil rights generation that they had.
Well, and going to that, just like hearing everything, this is a topic that I'm very dear and happy to talk about. For me, and just I want to give our viewers a little bit of education. I was reading an article from the Washington Post, right? And it was about this lady. Her name was Ty Christensen. And basically what the article was talking about in the Washington Post was about how her great-grandmother was, she was born to slaves. And what her great-grandmother did, once when they got their freedom from the Emancipation Proclamation, that she saved up $500.
Reconstruction Era.
Okay. And she bought a house.
Let me get a bomb, Rich.
And with that house, by her grandmother investing and buying that house, guess what? That created wealth for generations to come. And to me, in that article, it talked about how, unfortunately, like the generational wealth, when it comes to that, and like homeowners, that began to basically trickle to where we don't have that at all a lot with the black community. And to me, I feel like it starts when we are younger. It starts when, as blacks, we have to be educated. We have to dig deeper and be provided the means to learn more about your history. Like when we were in high school, we never had classes about, investing in your credit. Or what's a good credit score? You have some white families that, to set their kids up for success, they will actually go out and they will use their child's name, and they will get like things in their name. They will get houses, or they'll get cars. And by the time that child is 18 years old, guess what? Credit score is up here. Mm-hmm. So like I feel like when it comes to us being, the short end of the stick, when it comes to like, financial gain, like it all stems from education. And this family, she is reaping the benefits of that. And I think that like when it comes to like homeowners, and why the percentages have dropped. Matter of fact, I have some interesting facts I want to share with you guys. But so this is from the Washington Post, and it says that in 2020, the first quarter, all right, y'all, there was 44% of black families own their home. Just 44%. We're talking about across the nation. All right. And this is compared with 73.7% of white families that own their own home. Now, the top area in the country of black people owning homes or being homeowners is in DC with 51%.
Shout out to DC. Shout out to the Black Love. Shout out to the Black Love crew in DC.
So like as we see this trend now, I'm not saying that it's not all our fault on why things are the way they are, because we do live in a systematic country where, you know, we were discriminated against, and that goes all the way back. You just want to talk about the Reconstruction Era, that goes all the way back to the Fair Housing Act, you know, so that was supposed to be designed to basically stop these, you know, discriminatory, you know, laws of being passed when it comes towards to black families.
What you gotta say, Rich?
Yeah, Rich.
Come on, Rich.
I mean,
Come on, what's up, Rich?
Because I kind of see where he was going, and I had watched a documentary recently, and you know, after what happened in Tulsa, during what happened in Tulsa, you know, they never wanted to become a state. They tried to keep themselves separate, and like he said, when you got those people that was trying to be accepted by the United States, I think that's where the problem happened, because at the end of the day, my family's West Indian too. And when my grandmother came here, the house she owns right now, she worked in there cleaning up for some white people. Then when they told her that they was about to sell the house and that she would have to move, she asked how much. She went to the bank, she got the money, and she bought that shit.
That's
you know what I'm saying? Shout out to grandma.
Smart
what
black woman.
But I feel like he said, somewhere along the line, the people that was born here from those people, I guess, that had the money, started to try to become entitled and wanted to be accepted. But the West Indians are not trying to do that.
I'm just
no other race, and I feel like when you look at when you look at West Indians, I don't feel like West Indians are black. No other race except the black people want to be accepted. Nobody else gives a fuck.
I'm just say it.
I'm
gonna just say it all right, T.
I don't need white acceptance.
I'm gonna say it all right, Drew.
Okay.
The civil rights generation was ungrateful. It was ungrateful.
I gotta disagree.
You can disagree. You can say why. But to totally,
I don't think they were ungrateful. As far as I felt like they were dealing with at that time of oppression. Okay, they were wanted because they were being basically discriminated against since day one.
Hold on, I'm gonna run it back for you though.
Okay.
I'm a level set for you.
Okay, cool.
Because the textbooks and history, according to the dominant society, will have you perceiving that as oppression. But according to the data I shared at the beginning of the show, black businesses in black neighborhoods were thriving. Black home ownership was up.
Period.
Right? So, to me, to go back to my claim, it's my opinion. To Rich's observation. The civil rights generation seems a tad bit ungrateful. Now, to your point, is it their fault? Were their parents out of the Reconstruction era spoiling them? If T-Time spoils his children, there is a risk that his children will oversimplify what it took T-Time to get to where he needed to be.
No, I feel you on that. But at the same time, though, you got to realize that I'm talking about like, and then Martin Luther King was in the South. I'm talking about from the South standpoint. So you're dealing with the North, where education was already 10 steps ahead when it came towards investing and learning how to manage money. You come to the South, where the mentality of the South is completely different when it comes to black people. So you don't see a lot of black people in the South that were actually being able to have some of the same ventures as a lot of the blacks in the North due to these Jim Crow laws. So I feel like the segregation issue, it was black people finally being unified. They were unified on one cause, okay, and that was about let's get equal rights. Now, could somewhere in the midst we got lost in the sauce? Yeah, I don't think the civil rights generation was ungrateful. If you ask me, I feel like the product of the civil rights civilization, I feel like the people, the kids that were born after that, they were ungrateful, including ourselves. I'm just being real.
Again, I respect everybody's perspective, but according to the data, every decade that precedes, every decade that comes after the 60s is the beginning of black plight into today. And we're going to talk about present day as well later on in the pod. But every decade, every generation post-civil rights to present day has been bleak for the black collective. Again, we're generalizing. We get that every black person does not suffer from these issues. But we're only 13% of the population. And the fact that the majority of us are still dealing with the same issues from 5 decades ago speaks volumes. DaCosta, you got something to say? I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah.
I thought you had something.
But no, and get into that, the key thing is that, I feel like if we know exactly the difference between the mentality of black families in the, the post Civil War era, okay, the Reconstruction era, the mentality, you had a lot of black families, and I feel like this is the main source of it, was they had faith and they believed in God to the standpoint where he was their sustainer. Same thing for me. I'm a believer, like in growing up in my household, the thing that I could say was my Christian beliefs, like knowing who God was, knowing that I had to have faith, knowing that I had to, it gave me a guideline on living a life to where I not only am I pleasing God, but I'm also becoming successful because of my morals and my values.
Let me so for T to transition that to church, we definitely gonna unpack that.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to the last point.
Okay.
Because I still feel some type of way.
Go ahead.
MLK Concert came out at the 2 years after his "I Have a Dream" speech, and we've been promoting this on our page all day.
Yeah.
And literally says out of his mouth, and you played a clip at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
I fear I've led my people into a burning house.
Wow.
Basically, I fear that I might have been misled, and in turn, I might have misled a bunch of motherfucking people.
Can I ask you a question?
Ask that question.
Go ahead.
Do you think, because this is what I'm starting to gather, I love this conversation. Do you think that what happened was, now people coming out of slavery, we had money, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had the niggas had the money,
And you had skills.
Skills.
all that
And,
stuff.
too.
And the discipline level
Right.
was
And
totally
discipline.
different.
So check it out. Now imagine you got this money, you built it up, they built all this stuff up. We black, we got power. Then we have kids who know nothing about the plight that their parents went through.
That's
So now
education.
they're saying, they're looking around like, well, why am I being treated different than him? They don't know why, because their parents, just got money, and they don't know why I'm being treated different. So now they want the same respect as the white kids when their parents knew to stay away from it and don't worry about
That's
it.
a good point.
So
That's a good point.
do you think that the kids was just, I wouldn't necessarily say ungrateful, but just, ignorant, not
Yeah, of
having
course.
the knowledge
But see,
to know to stay
form
away
that-
from it?
That's
That
a good
is
question.
Because
true.
that's where
That is
Dr.
a
King.
form
I
of
agree.
being ungrateful. That is a form of innocent rebellion.
Right.
You're your kids.
Because I'm
But
saying
kids
that.
rebel.
Well,
But
but that's not rebellion. That's
It's
just
not
that's
rebellion.
just feeling like, look, my daddy got mad money and your daddy got mad money. Why can you do things I can't do?
Right.
That's not
I-
ungrateful. That's just feeling like
hold on,
why are
like-
we not the same?
True.
And then I feel like Dr. King through research probably realized, why do we even want to be the same?
Exactly.
Why did I make y'all think that one day we would be equal when we will never?
I can agree with that. We would never
We
be
will
equal.
never be equal.
But see, that's one thing I said.
Right.
You know what? And that goes back to this
Right.
right here. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, I told a friend of mine, I was like, you know what? I said, nothing against, fighting for equality with our people. Okay? We deserve that.
Right.
But how can we get upset at a system that was never designed with us in it? How can we get upset about the things that go on and why we're not treated accordingly when the Constitution wasn't designed with us in it? And I feel like it takes a very secure individual to be able to be in reality with this is the facts. And how can I, now that I know this, maybe I'm fighting the wrong issue. Maybe what I have to be doing is I have to make sure that I am being secure and taken care of when it comes financially. I'm educating my kids.
Right.
I'm setting them up for success.
Exactly.
I'm showing them that
Generational wealth.
generational wealth once
Yes.
again. And I'm putting them
Residual.
on, thank you, residual.
All right, so to be fair to the conversation, let's move it forward. We're going present day. Great observation, T-Time. I think, and I'm gonna stop harping on the Reconstruction, World War II era, black success. But I will say to your point that I find it increasingly odd that the current black generation instinctively, minus the education, according to Rich, nobody was formally kind of taught what took place post-slavery through World War II as a collective. But now I look around the black community and all I hear is, I want to own my own residual income, entrepreneurship.
These are
so
words.
It's almost like instinctively, black people have channeled an era that they feel no real formal connection to present day. Now, in order for this to truly become a thing, a movement of sorts that sustains itself, where we all kind of reap the benefits, we do have to look at the black family structure. And I hate to say it, but the patriarchal, male, conventional head of the household, for most blacks, is
gone.
like a thing of the past.
It is gone.
It's
and
gone.
that
It's
doesn't.
out the door.
One thing I want to stress, and I'm gonna turn the floor over to you guys, and even Rich. I don't want to make it seem like, because the dominant culture will do this, that this is the be-all, end-all for your problems, but this is also the be-all, end-all of your solutions. Just because we don't have conventional households in 2022 and beyond does not mean we can't overcome these obstacles and still win. Mm-hmm. 2 men in a household have a high earnings and can establish a strong family. Now, whether you agree with it or not is not our conversation.
But it's unconventional. We're talking about unconventional.
It may be
right.
unconventional, but in 2022, is
right.
it really unconventional?
Right.
But in the black community, sometimes it can still be perceived as taboo. But these are some things we might have to start looking past in order to get ahead.
What you mean by 2 men in a household?
2 men married.
To each other?
To each other.
Okay.
2 men are typically
We're talking about present day.
2022.
No, I know. Yeah,
2
yeah.
men are typically had a house. Not 2 men. A man is typically had a household by his earnings potential and what he brings in.
Right.
So, in unconventional is how you kind of classify the DaCosta, but really in 2022 it's not. 2 men coming together and having 2 black men coming together and having a strong family structure can benefit the future. 2 black women coming together and having a strong family structure can benefit the future. We have to get out of our own way in 2022 and beyond if we want to start seeing black collective success. Now, to our traditional relationships, we love y'all, we get it. A black woman and a black man, there's nothing like it. We get it. And of course, it's proven that a black woman and a black man can have success.
Okay.
It's proven. Right? But these other scenarios, these other relationships, these other situationships, we got to stop frowning upon them and start embracing them, or we're going to be left behind.
And I know men that are married to men and women who are married to women and are thriving in 2022. Thriving. See them.
You know what, like, and to go move forward, like, I feel like when we get on the topic of just like who you want to be with, okay, the key of it is like, it's not about us being worried about what someone else is doing. And I feel like as black people, we tend to
we Petty Murphy with
tend
that.
to do that.
Yes, sir.
We tend to focus on
Other people. And what
Yep.
they doing.
and what they're doing. And we're trying to live above our means.
Yep.
And I feel like because we're talking about the importance, like present day, what black families need to be aware of, what they need to know in order to be successful. And one of those things is minding your own and being able to do what works for you. You know, like when I think about my family and like I came from my father passed away, but when I got my stepdad, and he's been in my life since I was 3 years old. And I remember living in those 1-bedroom apartments, you know, shout out off Callan Road. You know, my parents never made me, I never knew what that meant. I didn't know what Section 8 meant. I didn't know what none of these things meant, you know, but my mother and my father and my grandparents, they stepped in. I would go to their house in the suburbs, you know, and then I would still be here. But I never knew that we were considered in a poverty area. But they always instilled that, hey, look, we moved from this place. We moved in with grandma to save. My parents moved in with my grandparents, save up for a year. They got a house. I was like, okay, this is how you do that. Then all of a sudden, they got another house that is, I mean, we talk about a mansion on a lake, you know, but they showed me about saving and working towards your goal. So they instilled those seeds into me.
T-Time keep moving the discussion with these examples.
I'm just being real. Like when we talk about the importance of a black family, I'm just saying
sacrifice is important.
I feel sacrifice is important.
Sacrifice is important.
But then too, it's about what is being sown into the kids of the black family.
Let's
talk
go
about
to Rich.
families.
Let's go to Rich and let's go to sacrifice.
You know, like let's do that.
What's up?
I thought you had something.
No, I'm just
No, about sacrificing?
Or just
I mean,
I thought you had something in general.
No, because what I'm trying to understand like where it was going, because y'all was going somewhere and you was talking about unconventional relationships at the time. So I'm trying.
So for me, what my perspective of what I was doing when we was talking about the unconventional relationships. Okay, what I wanted to say is that if we continue, it's not about us focusing on what someone wants to do as far as who they're with and what they're doing. That's 2022. I feel like the key needs to be, okay, how can we worry about ourselves instead of worrying about what somebody else got going in their own household?
Oh, I mean, that was the problem from the beginning. That's honestly what I said earlier. What I was saying earlier was worried about equality, with them. Is a problem, and then also if you're sitting here worried about what somebody else is doing, and you're not doing what's going to work for you, then it's also going to be a problem.
So what we want to convey with that is we don't want y'all to be Petty Murphy.
Yeah,
petty.
Right.
Look, if gay black culture can thrive and help get us to the next level, then like T-Time said, mind your business.
Yeah,
facts.
Mind your business.
What
goes on in that household or in that family's bedroom? If it doesn't pertain to you, we don't need to hear your opinion.
Why do you care so much?
And we gotta stop judging as black people. We
that
gotta
too.
stop judging.
But let me back up, because T-Time, you keep moving the discussion with great themes. Sacrifice is something that I think is lacking in this generation.
It is.
You cited.
Oh yeah.
You cited an overemphasis on consumption.
Yeah.
I traced it back to the civil rights movement, but I don't want to harp on that any more than I did already.
Cool.
But yeah, like in order for you to position yourself for that house, your example is you moved in with grandma and stacked.
Yeah.
Bro, when you stacking, you can't be at the club spending.
You cannot.
Especially when inflation is through the motherfucking roof.
That's true.
A bottle of Casamigos at the liquor store is about $50 after tax. A bottle of Casamigos at the club is about $450.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That $450 is money that needs to be thrown into that savings account and just stacked routinely. Mm-hmm. What the fuck as a collective do we have to be so joyous about and celebratory about? I told my wife, we throw a party. It's a business. When I break it down from a business standpoint, my wife be looking at me sometimes scratching her head like, damn, I ain't think about it like that. Like, yeah, like we charge you to come in. We charge you for the food.
Right.
We charge you for the alcohol. When that DJ spinning them songs, we want you to lose yourself into that music. This is how a business owner perceives, right? Mm-hmm. And calculates the success or lack thereof of that kind of event.
Yeah.
So us as consumers, when do we put that thinking cap on to say, okay, when it's time to celebrate something, let's celebrate something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But when we are out, look at the amount of money that we are spending. For a lot of times, it's emotional gratification.
A lot of shit.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
For the gram.
A lot of times, it's trauma.
Of
it's
course.
to impress other people.
Yeah.
Or to post on a social media app that we don't own.
Mm.
Yep.
Okay, look. If Asians and Hispanics who have been here not as long as we have can leap us by 50% in home ownership, it might be time for this generation as a collective. I'm not talking about the onesies and twosies who are successful, but as a collective, say, okay, it's time to start sacrificing. It's time to start spending less on going out, less on material things, and saving and investing.
No, you're right, bro. And
investing.
Investing is
that's another thing.
You know,
investing.
and when you was talking about trauma, just being real with you, like trauma is something that, I feel like everyone goes through, but I feel like with black people, trauma has plagued us the most, I feel. And the reason why I say that is because, think about it, just be realistic. And it pretty much, I'm just speaking hypothetically, but most black families, we all know someone in our family that might have struggled with addiction or something like that. Or somebody that maybe, some health issues, mental health, and where now all of a sudden, we're using all of our money and things like that because we finna drink or we finna do whatever it is. So just being real, the drug game and stuff like that with the black community has really affected the success of black families. Matter of fact,
started with the crack
epidemic back in the 80s. Like when they deemed this project with black people where it destroyed them.
The black,
and it's
especially the
still
black
exactly,
household.
and it's still lingering today. And a lot of black families today, you can find someone in your family. Someone can find someone in their family that's struggling with that. And so you think about all the hours and time and energy that is spent on just having a good time and medicating these hurts internally. You don't have any time to save because your priorities is not about investing. Your priorities is about getting that quick fix. Your priorities is about going out there and, getting your dope or getting your alcohol. And you're not even thinking about, now you got your kids watching you. So then how are they learning? So now you're being set up for failure because of what you're seeing. And these are all things that have plagued the black community.
Post-civil rights.
It has. I'm just being real. I'm at suffer from, I'm over a year sober now, but I remember like having to deal with that. But because I had a family that taught me how to, bounce back, and I had support, and I had love, and I had God, I had my faith, I came back to it. That's one thing I love about the black family. We find a way to make it work.
So,
especially if you have a good foundation.
Yeah.
So I think in every black family, you have like what you call it, like, well, I'm going back to Netflix. You have your Medias.
Yes.
You have your big mama.
Yeah.
Right.
You got grandma. You got mama. You have that.
You got that
and
pillar.
it's that typical, that quote unquote, I had to say, strong black woman.
That's true.
Because we all know it, and I can say it like, women can hold a lot more stress and go through a lot more than a man can, because we bear children. Okay, that alone, okay, that alone can't be touched. And me being a nurse working in labor and delivery, and when I see these men coming in here barking orders on a woman who is bearing a child, you have no idea what this woman is going through, what the pain she is going through. Who are you to tell her she cannot have an epidural if she is in pain? Okay, let's just go back to that.
That is true.
Okay.
Shout out to the black woman. Of course.
Shout out to the black woman. Okay. And when you go back to the black families, you see, like, going back to, like, my grandmother, her dream, her aspiration, her drive, her wanting more, brought her over here to the United States and brought her her 10 kids, her sisters and her brothers and her nieces and nephews over here. And now they're successful. They have families. They own businesses. They are entrepreneurs.
So
On this one black woman.
So okay, I want to stay on topic. I want to stay on theme.
Yeah.
Those are great points, DaCosta. T-Time, you keep mentioning church.
Yes.
One thing I've observed with the black community in 2022 and the black family or lack thereof is all these different beliefs in a higher power. And I think all of that is amazing. Everybody's journey towards the creator is going to be unique to them, right? But the black church, to your point, has always been a staple in the community from a belief standpoint.
It has.
But then even more importantly, from a unification standpoint.
Yeah.
So when I go back to the data and I look at the Asians and the Hispanics leapfrogging blacks in home ownership, I think about blacks as a collective being a little discombobulated. And I think a lot of times when we bring church up, there's a huge demographic of us that can't get past the belief aspect. Like, I get it. You may not believe like T-Time believes or DaCosta believes, but that doesn't take away from the importance of the institution. Church is a unifier. Church can bring black folks of all walks of life together.
That's true.
That's
true. One of the few institutions in 2022 and that can do that.
Facts.
That is true.
Fact.
And we've lost our way fundamentally with the institution. So, again, whether you believe in Abraham, Moses, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, or Jesus as your Lord and Savior, what's the tithes again, T-Time? What do you tithe?
10%.
If you fall on hard times, but you a member of the church and you've been tithing your 10%, it's a lot of times that church could keep you from real hard times.
That's a fact.
Or if you unemployed and you 1 month away from the streets, then them streets be calling.
They do be calling.
They be calling.
She's
But
be calling.
Rich is a member of your church. And Rich knows somebody at HR at Midtown Emory. Rich can help you get a job. Not just a job, it can end up being a career. A career where you can end up paying it forward for somebody else who needs an opportunity in the future.
And then there's go that,
That cycle.
yeah, and residual and paying it forward and back to generational wealth
We
for
have
our
to
generation, for
we
black
have
people.
to stop perceiving church in one light. It's the same way, I'm gonna put a little secret out there. I perceive our event, Trap Brunch. I'm 35 years old. I do love trap music, but I'm 35 years old. I can contextualize what I like from an entertainment standpoint, unlike some that may identify with it.
Yeah.
So I got friends that'll be like, "You don't think what you're doing is bad? You don't think what you're doing is negative?
It's the devil.
It's the devil." I be like, "Not at all. I don't. And here's why I don't. Because it's one of the few opportunities where black folks from all walks of life,
Get together.
gay, straight, weird, this, that, poor, rich, can come together under one roof for about 6 hours, forget their differences, and all share a good time. And black unification in 2022. I'm turning it back over to you all and Rich.
Hey, you know, I'm sorry. I just want to say something real quick because sitting here thinking, like I said, I like to build with people who because this is building. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I said this episode is about education.
Exactly.
This is building, and you know what you made me think about is now when I think about like Masons, right? Now if you become a Mason, you know, and you go anywhere, if you in court and if you got on one of them rings or something, if the judge or if they notice that your ass is a Mason, they gonna help you out. You understand what I'm saying? If church became like that, the thing is a nigga ain't gonna look at you and say, see you trying to get a job and say, are you a Christian? And then say, you know what, oh, you're a Christian, I'm a Christian too, I'm gonna help you out. They don't do that.
They don't.
They don't do that. See, like you said, if they looked at that institution a little differently and stopped looking at it like just a place to go on Sunday and hear about God and looked at it like more of it's a family thing.
Yeah.
If you Christian, I'm Christian, we supposed to be one. We all under the same person.
But and you know
It
go
could
ahead.
help out our people a lot.
Yeah, but
Because
that's-
our biggest problem is unity.
Yeah.
We have
and that's,
none.
And that's but see that
we
was
hate on each other so much.
yeah.
We worry about what they doing. I'm trying to outdo this person.
Yeah.
I want a bigger booty than her. I want my lips bigger than hers.
Yeah.
I want my height. Oh, so Nicki Minaj got this. So I'm gonna save up my rent money and go spend my rent money on this wig.
That's
For
what-
$1,000.
that this
But
millionaire
see,
guy.
Exactly. But you know, Rich, just get back to what you were saying, like that was the reason for the church. Like the church was started as a way for believers to encourage one another, to help one another, to be able to bear the same sufferings that, you know, they were bearing, you know, to basically, you know, uplift one another. Like if your brother is hurting, you're there for him. You know,
Facts.
you know, like Jesus is all about love. And I feel like, you know, so like going back to that, like you're right, Gary, when we talk about the church and even get into that topic, you know, so I put it this way. If we can say that the church has this this influence on black community, okay, in our people, how do we get back to putting the church as a source of our success?
It can
Getting
no
back
longer-
to it.
It can no longer be perceived as just a place of worship from a belief standpoint.
Facts.
You gotta
Yeah.
also read between the lines. Sometimes you need guidance to do it.
You do.
You gotta read between the lines and say, hey, look, it's gonna be hard for me to get you in the same room with a rich. It's gonna be hard, but we go to the same church.
There you go. That's the connection.
Now I'm not inviting you to the church. So lose yourself in the scripture. Now if you do that, great. Now you found something else. But in order for me to get you closer to Rich,
you got to come to church.
You got to come to the church.
It's the only place I see him at, or I'm close to him at.
Bingo.
Gotcha.
You got to start.
But we also would have to be a little open minded, because I could be at church and look at you like, why are we talking about this right now?
Yeah.
I gotta also think about it because you are a church member, not of just my church, but of my belief. Because it shouldn't just be our church; it should be our belief. I should look at it as not only are you that, if you bringing your friend to church just to meet me, I should have an open ear. Because some people might look at it like, yo, why would you bring this nigga to church to meet me? Like,
we got at-risk
you get what I'm
youth.
saying?
Yeah.
You at-risk youth.
Okay.
We already discussed the family structure in 2022 and what it looks like.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You at risk. You 1 month away from risking it all and becoming a statistic in the form of the mass incarceration theme that we haven't unpacked during the show. This is the only opportunity you have. One decision could change the complete trajectory of somebody's life.
But
One choice.
And
one connection.
We all have I know we've all known someone that in our families that have been incarcerated. We can name we all, I mean, that's just it's a fact.
What it is.
And
That's
that is also a major issue that black families still face today. Is being discriminated against in these unfair laws with our system. We are all like basically going through, how can I put it? We're going through a time in our lives where, like, as black people, we have everything that's happening as far as like the social injustice, once again, like all that's happening right now. I feel like it has sparked the conversation of us, working to get equal rights and working on us to get fair treatment from, police officers and having them accountable. Yeah, we understand that. But still, until the social system starts to be accountable for their actions and have, treat our people with the respect that we deserve and start, reanalyzing these laws and locking us up, that nothing's going to change.
So we got 6 minutes roughly. So we got to start wrapping it up. We got to start talking about the future. And
so let's talk. Well, we can talk about like the lighter side, like on how things look now.
So even with your last example, we could use mass incarceration and it's my conclusion is as current adults and elders, we own the now and the example we set for the younger generation.
We do.
So we got to start communicating with them and teaching them. But unlike the generations that precede us, we need to make sure we have something tangible to pass down.
That's true.
I've noticed a lot of young people will only listen if you share a story with them that's full of success in the past and the present day. If you don't have anything to show for your life, they kind of tune out. Now, you can call that superficial, but at the end of the day, you look across the aisle at the dominant culture, and a lot of younger white people, they love their grandparents. And they love these people that they never met.
Because they done left so much to them.
Bingo, my nigga. Like,
I love my grandparents. I love my family in general.
But to this example, they don't have the rapport.
They set them up.
Or the connection. But they know grandpa set me up to be successful now. Goes back to T-Time's point and riches on sacrifice.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. We got to start looking at the future like, all right, well, little Logan, my little niece, she like 10 now. She cute. She's cherubic. But 10 years are like this. That means she'll be a 20-year-old woman in the blink of an eye.
Yep.
And I'll be a 55-year-old man. And things that I find amusing now and this and that now won't even matter to me at 55. It'll be her time. And when it's her time to shine, I want to make sure I got more than glory stories to pass to my 20-year-old grown woman of a niece. T-Time, DaCosta.
And not only make sure that we leave stuff for our family for generations, but to make sure they know what sacrifice, so they can be grateful for knowing like what sacrifices you did to make this happen for them. Like because of your great granddad, because your great whoever left this built this business from the ground up, or left this house for you, or built this trust fund, or did this and this, that, or paid for your college education. They did this with sacrifice, their blood, their time, because time, that's something you can never get back. Time, you have to instill in them, like, because of what they did, you had this opportunity. Don't be ungrateful and just go off and fuck it off because you have the money and the residual to do it. Go, you take it as a seed. I have a seed now. Take this seed, bury it, and still flourish. Make it keep going. You take what God, the gifts God has given you.
Exactly.
You take your seed, you sow it, and do what you have to do, and you keep sowing for the next generation. So Logan can do it for her kids, and her kids can do it for their kids, and just keep on going and going and going, and that's not happening. No. And it's sad to say, like my family, I don't have. When my mother and my father go, I'm not gonna have nothing left to me. But I'm doing things right now for making sure, like me and my husband have invested and started business and stuff for making sure that me and my kids, they gonna be straight.
Exactly.
They gonna be straight.
And I like what you said about that. You know, like you said, we wrapping this thing up, but I know the goal for any parent is for your kids to do better than you do. And with the Black community, I feel like in order for us to succeed as well, we need to make sure that we're teaching our kids how to do better than we did, how to invest, how to just teaching them about the mistakes that we made.
Yeah, and I think another thing is doing, like, with generational wealth is, okay, not spoiling your kids, going back to what Gary was saying at the beginning of the episode. It's not spoiling your kids. Okay, so let me show you so you can be grateful and know what they're going through. You're going to come and you're going to work for this company. You're going to come and you're going to answer these phones. Yeah. You're going to clean the office after hours. You're going to do stuff. You're going to start at the bottom so you can work your way to the top. So you can appreciate what the little, like, and because you're going to be able to say, I was here. My mother owned this company, and I had to clean the bathrooms. I had to answer the phones. I had to go run errands, doing what people like. So you won't look down at people like I started where you were from. So when you look at other people, like, I see potential in you, and you can bring them up. You can lift them up instead of looking down on them like, oh, that's just a janitor. Yeah. Oh, that's just a receptionist. No, you don't know what they're there for. Yeah. You don't know what they're placed there for.
No, you're absolutely right.
And I think that's what we have to instill in our kids. We have sport. We don't, and I think social media has a lot to do with it because it's just a simple click for gratification, for this, for that, and we don't work for nothing no more. We can't think for nothing no more.
We gotta think for ourselves.
We don't We don't research anything no more. It's what the next celebrity said or whatever they said is true. Yeah. Oh, I'm just gonna click on a button. I can't do simple math problems in my head no more because I'm just ask Siri. Hey Siri.
That's how it is. But see, and that's a whole other topic, about technology and just like how it done stopped us from using our God-given ability with this right here. Like, just to sum up everything, like, as far as Black families, today, y'all, we wanted you all to understand the history behind our people and the decisions we've made. Could it have been that, we have been concerned with fitting in with America, that we've forgotten that we are America. Like, we are America. Yeah. Like, we don't need someone to give us recognition. We take opportunities and we knock that door down. That's what Black families do best. We make a way. Period. Y'all, this has been a great discussion. I wish we had more time.
We could keep going and going and loading it.
Y'all make sure y'all go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. Y'all, you can see us on Black Ink Radio right now. We on major platforms, all of them: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music.
All of them.
So make sure y'all do that, and please comment. Let us know if you want to hear any topics. Tell us what you thought about tonight's episode. Y'all, please get back with us. We want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts. Once again, it is Sis What's Good on Black Ink Radio, the most innovative, hottest, flyest, bougie, classy podcast in the land.
We out.
We out.
You are now tuned in to Black Ink Radio.